Hola, hola, hola y bienvenidos a otro episodio de Listen, Read, Interact. Welcome to another episode of Listen, Read, Interact. This is episode number 70. This episode is a continuation of episode 69. So if you've not heard episode 69 yet, please go back and listen to episode 69. My name is Andrew Snyder, and I am the host of the Listen, Read, Interact podcast. Yes, I'm the host. Listen, Read, Interact is a Spanish language learning podcast. And really the trick to learning any language, it's very simple. You just need to process as many level-appropriate messages as you can. And the appropriate level is wherever you're at. So if you're a true beginner, that's great. Your level is then just a little bit beyond wherever you're at. So that's the input that you're looking for, the language that you're trying to hear, the language that you're trying to read, and the language that you're trying to interact with should be just a tiny bit beyond your level. And I like to think of this in terms of magnets. If you've ever had two magnets sitting next to each other, if they're powerful enough and the attraction between them is strong enough, they're oriented in the right way, then one magnet, as you slide it away, will pull the other magnet along. And that's what you're looking for with input, the language that you hear and the language that you read. You want it to be just a little bit beyond where you're at so that it will pull you along. Sometimes in psychology, they talk about that as the zone of proximal development. In second language acquisition theory, they talk about it in terms of I plus one, input plus a little bit beyond where you're at to kind of pull you along. If you understand every single thing that you hear and you understand every single thing that you read, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you're going to strengthen the neural pathways that are already there, and you won't be building any new ones. You won't be building any new connections, as it were. And so your goal as a language learner is to get input, language that you hear, language that you read, at your level and just a little bit beyond. Some of it a little bit beyond. Some new words, some new structure, some new language. And over time, your brain then takes that language and it develops a mental model of the language. So if you're learning Spanish, like this series, Listen, Read, Interact, this podcast, hey, that's the word, is designed for Spanish language learners. And so if you're learning Spanish and you are listening to this show over time, you will start to develop a mental model of Spanish simply by listening and reading. Now, the show is called Listen, Read, Interact. Hey, there we go, listening and reading. And now the interaction piece. Interaction simply ensures that processing has taken place, that mental processing has taken place. And there may be some other benefits to output as well, output being speaking or writing, or sometimes it can be non-linguistic output, and that's fine as well. So ticking a box, yes or no, filling out a survey, things like that. Those are all great output activities. And, depending on your level of Spanish and the sophistication of your mental model of Spanish, you'll be able to do different things. So if you're just starting out, you may not be able to respond to questions in complete sentences. But if you've been speaking Spanish for 2 years, you might be able to respond very well in complete sentences. It just depends on the sophistication of your mental model. And the good news is that as you process more messages internally, you will start to be able to build that mental model out. It will become increasingly sophisticated over time. And so that's our goal with Listen, Read, Interact. And I will say, if you are new to Spanish, like brand new to Spanish, today's episode might be a little bit advanced for you. Earlier, I talked about that, those magnets pulling each other along, one going ahead and pulling the other one along. This episode might be like placing the magnets 2 feet apart. The force that's being attracted between them is not going to overcome the friction that's on the table. And so perhaps today's episode would be a little bit too complicated for you if you're a brand new Spanish speaker. But I have good news. If you go to listenreadinteract.com/50, that is an episode that is designed for true beginners, and it's the first in a series of 6 episodes that are designed for true beginners. Furthermore, I have made this even easier to do. If you go to listenreadinteract.com/start, listenreadinteract.com/start, you will see a course designed for true beginners that actually compiles those 6 episodes in one easy-to-remember spot. And there's lessons, and everything is nice and orderly for you. So you can do that for free. There's no login required. It's just at listenreadinteract.com/start. If you're a Spanish language instructor, you can check out my other podcast, which is called CI Immersion. CI Immersion is a teacher-facing podcast, and it's designed for teachers, obviously. And it's really me sharing my system for teaching languages, one that I've developed over the last 16 years, 17 years, however long I've been teaching Spanish, a long time. And it's comprehension-based, it's proficiency-driven. And the end goal for our students is to have acquisition take place over time. And I detail in this podcast my entire system. I'll be talking about things like organization before we even start to talk about teaching, pre-storytelling activities, the storytelling phase, how to go from storytelling orally to reading different stories, extending those stories out using different kinds of input activities and input processing activities and structured input and structured output activities, and then finally rounding it out all with assessment. Yes, I even talk about assessment on the podcast. So check that out, and you can find that at listenreadinteract.com. There is a link right there on the homepage to the CI Immersion podcast. You can also find it on your podcast players. CI Immersion for language teachers. And lastly, if you are looking to take Spanish classes with me, I have some class space available for my next Spanish Story Lab class that will be starting up in March 2026. Please take a look at tacomalanguageacademy.com. Now, that's only available for people who have been accepted into the program. So please go to tacomalanguageacademy.com and apply for admission. It's a one-page free application simply designed so that we can make sure that you're a good match for the program. So if that's something that interests you, please go to tacomalanguageacademy.com. tacomalanguageacademy.com, and the course is called Spanish Story Lab. Spanish Story Lab. It's designed for true beginners, so if you've never had any Spanish language background at all, it's a perfect course for you. And I just finished teaching a section of it actually yesterday, and that went very, very well. So please check out tacomalanguageacademy.com and try to sign up for that Spanish Story Lab for, what are we in? To 2026? March 2026. Now, each episode of Listen, Read, Interact is designed to be a self-contained lesson. And today's lesson will have 3 parts to it. It will have a pre-reading and interaction phase. It'll have a brief reading and interaction phase. And it will have, finally, a complete reading and interaction phase. Each phase has activities on the website, on the show notes page, that will help you interact with the language and hopefully help you acquire some of the words and the different things that appear in the story. Now, it's a story-based episode, and so the pre-reading phase will kind of lead you into that reading phase, and it's highlighted by some example sentences. Those example sentences are perfect for a dictation. And so if you're a Spanish language teacher, you might even be able to use this as something you use in your classroom. Click on that classroom mode, and it will act like a little PowerPoint. There's a little button there that says classroom mode on those examples, and it will act almost like a PowerPoint presentation in your web browser. But for learners, it's great for a dictation as well, and so all you have to do is listen along to the example sentences, and on a sheet of paper, write them out exactly as they sound to you. And you can check your work on the show notes page, listenreadinteract.com/70, since this is episode number 70. When you hear the music play, we'll begin with episode number 70. This is part 2 of a 3-part series. And so if you've not heard part 1, which was in episode number 69, please go back and listen to episode 69. Ok, vamos adelante. Ejemplos. Número 1. Mientras tanto, tú lavas los platos en la cocina. Mientras tanto, tú lavas los platos en la cocina. Mientras tanto, tú lavas los platos en la cocina. 2. Mi hermana acaba de llegar y está muy cansada. Mi hermana acaba de llegar y está muy cansada. Mi hermana acaba de llegar y está muy cansada. 3. Adentro de la mochila hay un cuaderno y un lápiz. Adentro de la mochila hay un cuaderno y un lápiz. Adentro de la mochila hay un cuaderno y un lápiz. 4. Usted lee el mensaje varias veces porque es importante. Usted lee el mensaje varias veces porque es importante. Usted lee el mensaje varias veces porque es importante. 5. Nosotros queremos conocer a nuestros vecinos. Nosotros queremos conocer a nuestros vecinos. Nosotros queremos conocer a nuestros vecinos. 6. Estefanía está emocionada porque mañana viaja. Estefanía está emocionada porque mañana viaja. Estefanía está emocionada porque mañana viaja. 7. Ellos estudian por un rato y luego descansan. Ellos estudian por un rato y luego descansan. Ellos estudian por un rato y luego descansan. 8. Antes de salir, nosotros desayunamos y tomamos agua. Antes de salir, nosotros desayunamos y tomamos agua. Antes de salir, nosotros desayunamos y tomamos agua. Lectura breve. Me llamo Milagro y vivo en la ciudad de Panamá. Hoy acabo de llegar a casa. Estoy lavando los platos cuando alguien llama a la puerta. Voy a la puerta y la abro. Hay un hombre joven en el porche. Me pregunta si soy Milagro Aurora. Le digo que sí, y él me da un sobre y se va. Abro el sobre. Adentro hay una carta y un boleto de avión para San José, Costa Rica. El vuelo sale mañana por la mañana. Leo la carta y dice que hay información sobre mi familia que me va a cambiar la vida. La carta también dice que puedo encontrar a Lázaro en un café en el centro de San José. No sé qué pensar. ¿Quién es Lázaro? ¿Puedo confiar en él? Estoy intrigada, así que leo la carta varias veces. Decido ir. Me acuesto temprano, pero estoy emocionada y no puedo dormir. Leo un libro por un rato y por fin me duermo. Al día siguiente me levanto temprano, me preparo rápido, desayuno, hago la maleta y salgo apresurada de la casa. Just a brief intermission, and we'll be back for the complete reading for today's episode. Listen, Read, Interact is a value for value show, which means it's 100% listener supported. We don't get any advertisement money, and I don't plan to take advertisement money ever because I don't like ads. I don't like listening to them in the middle of things. So instead, I take a brief pause in the middle of each episode. Kind of an ad, I guess. But not really, because I'm not selling you anything. All I'm asking is that if you are finding value in today's show, and maybe you found value in the show in general, or the show notes page, which, by the way, are fantastic show notes. I think you can't find a better value than the show notes page, honestly. It's a fantastic product. If you're finding value, all I ask is that you send some value back this way, and you are the only one that can determine how much value you've gotten out of the show. So if you've been listening for a while, let's say, and you've spent a number of hours listening, And there's 70 episodes now. That's a lot of episodes. That's a lot of stories to listen to. If you're finding value in that, please send some back our way. And you can do that at listenreadinteract.com/donate. There's also a link in the episode description. And, it's a wonderful, wonderful way of giving back to the show. And it's a way to make sure the show keeps going. I've committed to myself to do 100 episodes. So I'm here at 70. I'm getting close, less than a year away from finishing my 100 episode goal. And if you're finding value in these episodes, please send some value back in any amount, any frequency. It's all highly appreciated. For donations over $50, I will read your name and amount and location on the show, and I will also read a short note from you if you have one. And if you don't have a note for me, I will just read your name, location, and amount. For under $50, I will keep you anonymous. So for those $4 a week people, you're going to be anonymous. For reasons of anonymity, I'm sure there's many reasons that someone might want to remain anonymous. But it really is so helpful. It does make sure that the show keeps going. I would love to continue this on into the future. And if you're finding value, please consider sending value back. Value for value. You got something out of it? Please send some value back. Hey, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Lectura completa. Mientras tanto, en la ciudad de Panamá, otra mujer joven acaba de llegar a su casa. Su nombre es Milagro. Es alta y bonita. También es inteligente. Está lavando los platos cuando alguien llama a la puerta. Ella va a la puerta y la abre. Un hombre está en el porche. Es tan joven como Milagro. También es tan guapo como ella. ¿Es usted Milagro Aurora?, le pregunta el hombre. Sí, le dice Milagro. Soy yo. Esto es para usted, le dice el hombre. Con esto, él le da un sobre a Milagro y se va. Entonces Milagro toma el sobre y lo abre. Adentro hay una carta y un boleto de avión para San José, Costa Rica. El vuelo sale mañana por la mañana. Entonces Milagro toma la carta y la lee. La carta dice así: Milagro, tengo información sobre su familia que le va a cambiar la vida. Si quiere saber más, use el boleto de avión que incluyo con esta carta. Usted va a encontrarme en el Café Portento, en el centro de San José. Lázaro. Cuando Milagro termina de leer la carta, no sabe qué pensar. ¿Quién es este Lázaro? ¿Puede confiar en él? Pero Milagro está muy intrigada. Ella lee la carta varias veces más. Entonces decide que quiere conocer a este Lázaro. Milagro se cepilla los dientes y se acuesta temprano. Está emocionada y no puede dormir. Así que ella lee un libro de ficción por un rato y por fin se duerme. Al día siguiente, Milagro se despierta a las 7 de la mañana. Tiene prisa porque el avión sale a las 11. Rápido, ella se ducha y se peina. Luego se viste y desayuna. Finalmente, hace la maleta y sale apresurada de la casa. Bueno, Con esto vamos a terminar. With that, we're going to end today's episode. You can find the show notes page again at listenreadinteract.com/70, or there's a link in the episode description. You can find me at the Tacoma Language Academy, tacomalanguageacademy.com, and you can look for that Spanish Story Lab course, which is a course for true beginners, or if you know someone who's interested in that, it's a CI immersion-based course where we tell a lot of stories, well, one story over the course of 4 class periods. And that is what I've got going on. You can always remember us at listenreadinteract.com/donate. Thank you so much to everyone who's donated. Muchísimas gracias. Y hasta la próxima.